Welcome to Techstination. Joining us is Arthur Driessen, who's got a blog called Maiden Voyage, A Voyage Without Carbon. Thanks for joining us, Arthur.
Thanks for having me, Fred.
And you are joining us from the road, of course. You're still on a voyage. Give us an idea of what you've been doing in your Tesla Model 3.
Well, I have been traveling America, exploring the supercharger network, trying to see how far I can travel and push the car, whether it be distance or, intensity-wise, and to prove that, you can travel the United States in an electric vehicle and not have any worries.
So, how far, how fast?
Well, I have put up 115,000 miles on the car now. Probably about 105 of those are through road tripping. I have been on a progressive road trip for about the last year and 2 months, so about 14 months now I've been consistently on the road. And so 14 months, 15,000 miles, pushing it as far as I can.
Why?
Well, I was a day one reservation holder for the car, and I received it in April 2018, and I went on my first road trip a couple months later, and I absolutely fell in love with being on the road and just driving the car long distance. And I didn't know if it was feasible to travel the United States, with electric cars being so new. So I just decided to go for it. And I haven't stopped yet because I've just fallen in love with both traveling in the car and being on the road.
And you're an audio engineer by trade. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I did music my entire life. Started playing when I was about 4. My family's a music family, and moved to Hollywood when I was 25 and did internships in the studios and worked for a bunch of producers in the studios, and then have just been doing both artist management and audio engineering ever since then by trade.
So a Model 3, Tesla's smallest vehicle, and there you are with over 100,000 miles on a road trip. So tell us how you do that, how you carry everything that one imagines you need to bring along.
Well, surprisingly, the car has lots of space. Being one person on the road, of course, it's a little bit easier. I don't have to fit, the amount of stuff for 2 people. But, I can fit everything I need in the Model 3 with space to spare. The trunk is enormous. You've got the the front trunk where the engine traditionally is in a car, and so that's a space. And then I really haven't had any worries keeping anything that I need. I've got a cooler, I've got a dry box, I've got a suitcase, I've got workout gear, I've got my computers and my cameras, and I can fit it all.
And do you sleep in the car often?
There's a good amount of times I switch it up between hotels, hostels, and sleeping in the car. The car itself, so with it having so much space, when I lay down the back seats flat, I can lay down flat. And actually, I've had friends that are 6 feet tall tell me that they do the same thing. And so you get a little travel mattress and you lay it out there. And so I usually use that for when I'm doing national parks or I'm in more remote areas. But it does come across, pretty often.
And of course, the Tesla has I guess they call it a camping mode. At least some call it that, where your climate's controlled.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's been times I got caught in a blizzard in the Rockies, and, I had to stay in the car because I couldn't, drive through the blizzard, and you just turn the temperature up to 70 degrees and it keeps it climate controlled. And, it'll use a good 30% of the battery doing it at night that way. So you got to make sure that you have enough battery to do it. But it's climate controlled and you don't have to worry about anything. It's comfortable, and you got the glass roof on top of that, so you can just stare at the stars all night.
How many states have you been through?
I've been through all 48 of the contiguous states.
Wow.
And I plan on going to now that they just opened up the Canadian supercharger network, the Trans-Canadian one, before they just had them in the big cities, and so I'm planning on tackling that this summer and then going up and hitting Alaska through some level 2 chargers while I'm up there.
What have you learned about the Tesla and the supercharging network that may have surprised you?
Well, one thing that I learned about the Tesla is, uh, I guess they call it hypermiling in the Tesla community. But if you are worried about running out of battery and you slow down to 55, uh, you exponentially save battery. I've tested it a couple times where the speed limit is 80, but I've got in the right lane and thrown it on 55, and I'll save an extra 10% to 15% on what the navigation says the battery will be. So I've found that in remote areas, slowing down, and if you're worried about your battery, that can save you in any situation. And with the supercharging network, I didn't know how vast it was. Uh, and it is just absolutely fantastic. There's thousands of them throughout the entire United States, and I haven't really had much trouble at all finding a place to charge. Usually they are about 75 miles away from each other, and yeah, it's just been absolutely amazing to learn how well they've planned their networks for traveling.
A lot of people love the idea of buying an electric vehicle, but worry about this whole issue and have this range anxiety. So your message to them is you're not just traveling on highways, right?
No, I'm not traveling on highways at all. Or all the time either. Sometimes if I'm going into more remote areas, I have to access, app like PlugShare, which will show me more level 2 chargers and stuff like that. But with the destination charging network, which is, the network that Tesla has at hotels and stuff, in combination with the supercharger network, and in combination with using a site like PlugShare, you can really go anywhere. Right. A month ago, I was up in North Dakota for 3 weeks, and there's no superchargers there at all. And I was still able, even with, negative 20 degrees hitting my battery pretty hard, I was still able to explore and, go all over the state. So range anxiety has completely been taken out of my mind as a worry.
You haven't had many or any close calls?
I've had some close calls, especially when it gets cold. I've had some close calls, out on Indian reservations, or, out near the borders, or, deeply exploring a national forest. But if I keep my eye on it, then I can save battery by slowing down. And Tesla has this really cool thing that you can view in real time where it shows you your energy usage. So if you are worried about your battery, for instance, I was going to Texas Big Bend one time over by the Rio Grande, and I put in the visitor center point, but I didn't put in the actual Rio Grande. So there was an extra 20 miles I had to throw in there, and it told me I was going to get back with negative 5%. But being able to monitor that energy usage graph, I was able to slow down to 40 45, and going between that and 50 55. I was able to get there, pulled up with 1%, and still made it. So there's been a couple close calls like that, but if I keep my eye on it, then I don't worry.
So tell us about the economics here and what you've had to spend to keep this vehicle going.
Well, so service-wise, I'm only, besides tires, I'm only about $500 spent in maintenance on the car. I have had 2 control arms for the suspension replaced, which I attribute to driving on rough roads and going out into those reservations and stuff. And then I had 1 door hinge replaced. The 2 control arms were replaced under warranty, and the door hinge I had to pay for myself, and that was about $400. So that's maintenance, which is amazing. Tires, I've had to go through a little bit more. I average my tires out at about 25,000 miles. So that gets a little bit more pricey, but I've found, a good tire with a wear warranty that saves me some money when I have to replace them because I'm not getting the full tread wear out of it. When it comes to the fuel savings, I do a lot of supercharging, which averages out to about 6 cents per mile. And I drove a Honda Civic before this, and I estimate I've saved about $10,000 in total on gas since switching over. And that's using Los Angeles gas prices and then the supercharging price as well.
How long are you going to keep doing this?
Well, it's kind of infinite right now. I would love, I'm kind of looking at it with the Field of Dreams aspect. If you build it, they will come. I'd like to, continue educating people about traveling in EVs with my experience. And so the more I can do that, the better. Right now I've got it planned through the end of the summer, but really I had only had it planned through the end of the last summer. So it just keeps going. We'll see how long. I might want to hit it to be the first. I was the first to hit 100,000. So, now the goal is to be the first to hit 200,000.
And any words of encouragement from Tesla or Elon?
No, I've talked to Tesla a little bit, but only on the low end. I stop in all the service centers and stuff. And I haven't heard back from Tesla personally, but the Tesla community's been very supportive of me. And I'm actually getting some supporting words from EV events and stuff like that. I'm on my way to one in Florida in a couple weeks and going to be hanging out and talking there. And so.
Where can people follow you, Arthur?
So on Twitter, I am at mcarbon. On Facebook and Instagram, I am Voyage Without Carbon. And then the website is voyagewithoutcarbon.com.
That's voyagewithoutcarbon.com. I know you got to hit the road. So,
yeah.
Arthur Driessen, thanks for taking the time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Fred. I really appreciate it.
Cooking with the power of the sun. Hi, I'm Fred Fishkin, here to tell you about the latest innovation from my friend Patrick Sherwin and his great team at GoSun Stove. The GoSun Fusion has arrived using the company's tried and true reflectors and a solar vacuum tube to get you cooking without the mess of charcoal, heavy propane tanks, or smoke. A really bright idea. And with an optional solar panel and battery storage and the ability to plug in at home or on the road, you really can use the GoSun Fusion to cook anytime and anywhere, day or night, rain or shine. I love what Patrick and his team are doing, and so will you. Want to learn more? Head to gosun.co to check out all of the company's products and innovations, and use the code Techstination to save 10%. That's gosun.co.